Okay, so now it says record, and it did not ask me where I wanted to save it to.
Hopefully it'll save it to the cloud then.
Either that or it'll run out of storage in my Chromebook. Okay, I'm going to pass the microphone off to Sean, who will officially start the CFCS iSIG. Who's on the call? Jeff?
Stan is the other one.
Stan. Hey, Stan. Oh, great. I don't see him there. Do you show a square for Stan? Huey, do you show a square for Stan?
It says admin.
Is Stan a square?
It says admin.
It's admin. Oh, okay. What I'll do is I'll actually take this and put it up there so you guys can see what's actually going out. It's small enough to do that. Okay. Okay, good. All right, cool. All right, so this is the first web broadcasted iSIG. Up front, I need to make a statement. I'm not going to be available from Monday nights through the pretty much to the end of the year. This is my last Monday night available. So we're going to have to figure out if somebody else wants to host this or if we should move it to another night, something like that. But I'm not available any Mondays between next Monday and the rest of the year. So we'll think about that. Yeah. Okay. I could see about moving it here. Maybe to like a Thursday or something like that. Okay, I'll look into that. Yeah. So, all right. Well, this is anything iOS. So, I just the only thing I heard of is there's possibly going to be an iOS, some kind of a. Oh no, it's the iPhone. They suspect it's going to be a press release for the iPhones in early September. Anybody else hear that? You heard that? September 6th, maybe? Is that right? Look and see what the calendar says. September, it's usually on a Monday or Tuesday. And the 6th is a Friday, so it won't be that day. Anyway, so got that to look forward to, see what the new iPhones have to say. Apple spending $6 billion, over $6 billion on original content for Apple TV Plus. So they're making their stake with streaming services. So I don't have a lot. As I'm sure as we go, I'll think of things to talk about. But anyway, I'll pass the microphone down and we'll just kind of go through this and see what other folks have to say. Something else. I don't know if I mentioned this in the last meeting or not, but Apple's iOS 13, which will be coming out probably in September, shortly after the iPhone release or notification, they're going to update CarPlay. So CarPlay will have a split screen. So it'll have the, like for instance, if you're navigating, it'll have the maps maybe on the left, and then like if you're listening to music, that would show the playlist on the right or whatever's playing on the right. And there's some others, a dark mode to it, and a dark and a day mode. And it's the first really major update to CarPlay. So I use CarPlay, so I'm looking forward to having some more options in there. So I'm going to pass this along to Terry. I may have to step out. I'm in the process of buying a new car, and I think somebody's trying to call me. It's not that. So I pass this down, Terry.
I'm working with the install. I don't know if I have a question or a complaint, and it's probably a question, but I don't know how to ask it. It's right now completely slowing my maps, but I think I may be not logged in all the way for the first time in some way. So I'm going to play with a little more and then.
So your maps are being slowed down as a result of since you installed the VPN?
Right, but also I just saw that I received 2 emails from Keep Solid. I don't know if acknowledging those, even though I'm all logged in as far as everything else. It says I'm logged in.
So Keep Solid is the name of the company that makes the VPN service.
Yeah,
Well, you are on VPN. It says so in your icon.
I know, but it's really slow on my maps, and various other things seem extremely slow. So I just think I haven't learned to navigate it yet.
Well, what I would recommend is to know if it's for sure the VPN, get connected on VPN, and then go to DSL Reports. And DSLreports.com is I would say one of the best speed test sites. So you can go to DSLreports.com/speed test, or you can just go to the menu that says speed test.
I have speed test. So I'll look in.
Yeah, and then you'll know if you do a speed test, and then you get the number, and then you disconnect the VPN, do another one. Now the VPN will be a little bit slower because there's algorithms and so forth that go on for the security, but it shouldn't be extremely slow.
Well, maybe it's
So I don't know, but that's a good way to test.
Thank you.
Pretend you're eating an ice cream cone and you want to be
Nice and close like this. Okay.
Yes, moving right on to Gary.
Oh. Well, I just installed the VPN also because there was a special and a whole bunch of us at the last meeting purchased the, what is the name of it?
It's on Cult of Mac.
It was on Cult of Mac, but it was called, yeah, VPN Unlimited. I'm trying to remember the name of the company that did it, but Keep Solid. And it was on sale for $29 or $39, supposedly regularly $500 for a lifetime. And then we got another discount on top of that. So it was only $35. We got 10% off. So I had a real rough time installing it on the Macintosh, and I had to get in contact with Sean because basically for a half a day I had no internet at all on my computer, and it was devastating. I mean, nothing. And so it turns out that that with the tech support, this is, how did you install it? And I said, I use the Apple Store. And it says, no, don't use the Apple Store. Use our standalone app. And then oh, what is up? What's up, Huey?
Go ahead, finish, and I have a question when you're done.
Okay, so then I downloaded the standalone app, and everything just worked instantly, perfect. So that ended that, and then it installed perfectly on the phone. Now I just got a screen. I don't know if I can lay this down. Maybe I can share it up there. Okay, I'm going to be showing a picture on the TV, so I guess you're going to have to point the TV there, but I had to log in first. So here is we got the Keep Solid for $39. Can you get that in the camera? Can you cut the F stop?
Is it on your phone?
It's on my phone, but I don't know. So is the TV's too bright?
It was actually clearer on the TV than it is right now.
So do you have a way of changing the f-stop on your camera?
No, for a webcam.
Well, we could adjust the brightness of the TV maybe.
Actually, that's almost readable.
That's readable?
Yep.
So what we got was the $39 special for a lifetime streaming, and we can get 5 devices, and they say they have 200 servers, 50 countries, and allows peer-to-peer and allows Netflix in other countries, but it does not block ads. Now the NordVPN is $107 for 3 years, and they have like 3,500 servers, but that's only 3 years. But the other one that was interesting called Fastest VPN, that's $19 right now. And I think that's regular $600. And that does ad blocking, which is interesting. So it does not allow Netflix, but it does allow ad blocking. So according to what I learned from Sean at the last meeting is he has several VPN services on his computers and on his phone. So he can swap one service, turn one service off and turn another one on and get maybe the best of the two. Oh, you can. Aha. See, VPN was a total mystery to me like three weeks ago. I didn't know anything about it, but I knew that all the smart people had it and I needed to get up to speed. And it seems pretty, I mean, I have it on my computer right now and it's working on my phone, and it's, well, I just heard that it does several things. I do like to use my Bank of America on my phone and on my computer, but I've always wondered if someone was maybe snooping in or looking at what I was typing or something. And so I have Vanguard, and I just didn't want anyone looking in on it. And from what I understand, a VPN does two things. First, it does a tunneling, which means it takes it from, I can designate where I'm tunneling to, so I could be in Czechoslovakia as far as anyone else is concerned. But also it does encrypting. And so I guess you get two things, two services at the same time with the VPN. And I thought for $39 for a lifetime, I don't think we can go too bad with that. So that's all I want to say about that VPN right now. Did we want to talk about VPN?
Yeah, I have a question. Any of you who are running VPNs, are you also running any Gmail accounts?
Yes.
When you look at your Gmail running through a VPN, are you getting notices from Google saying that there are some security issues, and is it you?
I think the first time, yes. I think there was, and I had to say, yes, it was okay. It was me.
Yeah, because I have about 10 or 15 different Gmail accounts, and if I go to a different computer and then log in, I get one for every one of the accounts, and I have to go to each account and then to turn that off, and then if I go to a different server, I'll get it again. So that's why I've stayed away from VPNs, because I figured I was going to have that happen to me all the time.
No, I think there was just the one time.
Are you using the same server each time though?
I only have one Gmail account.
No, but the server for your VPN, are you using the same one over and over?
Yeah, it's the one in Miami.
That's why, yeah. If you swap those out, you'd get that message on each of your Gmail accounts then.
Hey Huey, I'm using I use a VPN on my iPhone all the time, so it's persistent. If I go from a Wi-Fi network to the cellular and then back to other Wi-Fi networks and so forth, it just reconnects. It'll jump to the next network and immediately reconnect. And I do have Gmail. I had to think about it. I don't use Gmail as a regular email client. I use it for notifications of things, mainly YouTube videos. And I've never seen a problem with any notifications about there being some kind of a security thing. Are you only seeing that on a computer, or are you seeing it on your iOS devices as well?
I don't remember if on the iOS, it's a Gmail thing, so it doesn't matter what device I'm on. If it notices that it's coming from a different server, it'll send me a message to that account and then to my backup account for that account.
Via an email message?
Huh?
You mean via email?
Yes.
And
Saying there might be a security issue. Was it you that logged on? You have to click on it. It takes you to Google and it says, please verify, was this you that signed in? And if you just mark yes, it says fine, thank you. And it goes away. If not, it tells you to change your password and to do something else.
Well, that makes sense. That's a security thing, right?
Yeah. And it would happen if you go onto a server that it doesn't recognize. So if you're on a VPN, I'm thinking, yeah, the first time I logged into the VPN from a certain location, I'm going to get those. And if I say, okay, everything's all right, the next time from that location, I won't get it. But if I tell it, okay, instead of coming from West Africa, I want to come from New Zealand, I'm going to get it all over again in all of my accounts when I go out and check the emails for those accounts.
I may not be a good test subject because I'm running VPN. I'm not using the Keep Solid on my phone. I have it installed, but I don't use it like Gary does and Terry. I've set up my own Open VPN on my router at home. So my IP address is my home address. It's not like I'm connecting to another country and then trying it. So maybe that's a bad test.
But when you use a VPN, it changes your IP address?
Well, with the VPN that I have configured is at my home. So the IP address is then my home IP address, which I think Google probably recognizes as a valid IP address that I've connected to from before. I don't have a static IP address assigned at home, but it almost never changes.
Okay, but when you use a VPN, isn't the whole idea using the VPN that you are changing your IP address?
No, the idea of a VPN is to create a secure tunnel out of the location where you currently are. So for instance, I'm on this public Wi-Fi here at the Florida Safety Council, and my iPhone and my computer are both connected to that Wi-Fi network, but they're connected via VPN out of here. So everything in and out of this from my computer out of this network and wireless network is encrypted.
Okay, so it may not affect it. I'm going to have to check some more on that. So it may work for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't be as concerned because for a fact that you are connecting to these VPN servers, and I think it's actually a good thing that it's notifying you, hey, I see you're connecting from this network, from this other IP address. Are you sure? Is that okay? I just want to make that's good security.
Yeah, but I got about 15 Gmail accounts, so I have to go into each one.
Wow.
Separately and
what's the client? What's the client that you're using? Is it just Apple Mail or?
No, I'll look on one. I'm using Type app on my Chromebook. I'm using Gmail on my iOS, I believe, or no, whatever the mail is on my iPad.
Apple Mail.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure what it's called.
The postage stamp.
It's got the M in it. Yeah.
It's got the M in it.
Yeah.
Then that's the Google Mail
app. Okay.
Okay. I don't get those messages. Maybe because I'm not connecting to another country. I'm just connecting to my home email, to my home. I just want to make sure that I'm secure in wireless networks that are outside of my house. So I have a encrypted connection via VPN back to my router at home. So.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Sure.
Well, this might be, I'm going to use the TV again, I guess. I don't know. Can you hear me on this microphone? Okay. I don't know. Can you hear me on the microphone? Okay, they can hear me. This is kind of silly. But with the, I usually don't play games. Oops, come on my phone, but I did, since I do produce, I'm trying to get that to show up there. Come on, mirror. There we go, okay. But since I've made a career out of making stilts for a living, I found this app. It's called Walkmaster, and it's a free app, and you're teaching a goat how to walk on stilts. It's kind of funny. So so you have this little area that you use your thumb to make it walk, and I don't know if you, and then so you're just kind of walking along, you know.
You made this?
No, but whoa. Anyway, I thought that was kind of fun. So it's called Walkmaster, and it's a free app. And anyway, I just thought that since I make stilts for a living for Universal Studios, that to have a stilt walking game was kind of fun to have. So other than that, the only other game that I actually play is, have any of you played Mastermind? A long time ago on like a wooden board with wooden pegs. And well, this is called Real Code Breaker. It's a free app, and it's actually pretty rich. I mean, there, just to show you the rounds, I've done like the first 8 rounds, and if I pick a round that I haven't been at, so you have 6 colors, and they have to fit in 4 pegs. And then on the right, there's 4 more pegs that tell you if you chose the right color and you have the right color in the right spot. And if you have the right color in the wrong spot, you get a white indication. And if you get the right color in the right spot, you get a black indication. So just for fun, I'll just put 1, 2, 3, 4 up there. And then if you hit finish, okay, so I actually got 3 out of 4 colors, but they're all in the wrong position. So if I was to do the same combination, but pick another color and hit finish, I just learned that green is in the right location, because the first 3, I just duplicated the first 3. And so you can't just play this at random. You actually have to think it through, and you have to break the code. So if we want to see if there's a yellow in here, oops. Okay, I lost one. So now I know that blue is in the wrong location, but it is a color, and I know that green is in the right location. And so you use this logic and you keep going and going. Now,
It would drive me crazy.
well, you know, if you're standing in line, you got nothing else to do, you know, and so this is just 4 pegs, but I think you can keep going. There's 5 pegs yeah, when you start hitting 98, then you get 5 pegs. Yeah, so, but there are other games I think that have as many as 8 pegs and probably 12 colors, and that would be kind of crazy. But other than that, we can move the mic on to the next person.
Yeah, Mike, somebody came on with a phone and it's overpowering the speaker. You might want to mute him.
Okay, my question is, not so much a question as just looking for information. I need to replace my iMac. And is there anything that I need to be aware of when I'm looking at new computers, anything that's glitchy? The one I have now is a 2008, so this is a quantum leap for me. I use my computer mainly on genealogy programs, photo editing, and that's about it. I don't do games, although I may try ones that Gary just told us about. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. A desktop Mac.
Could you use your iMac as a screen and then buy?
Okay. No, what Terry's trying to say is if you buy a new Mac, an iMac, you can use the mini DV port from your new Mac to your old Mac and use your old Mac as a second screen.
I don't think, not in a 2008 model. I don't think that's true.
Okay.
Use it as a monitor?
No, I don't believe so. Not that age. Yeah, and I don't know if the new iMacs allow that anyway. That was a thing they had for a while, and they. I was just talking to one of my coworkers about that, asking if he used to work at the Apple Store, the Genius Bar, and I said, "Are the new iMacs able to be screens?" And we're looking at the opposite here, right? We're looking at making old iMac a screen. Screens are so inexpensive. I mean, you could get a really decent screen for about $100 if you wanted to have a secondary screen, right? But oh, do you? Okay. Yes, you can still use that. Yeah, you may need a different adapter. Maybe not. But the answer to your question, the question that she asked was wondering if there's anything she needs to be aware of when looking at a new iMac. The thing that I would recommend is that you purchase a computer that doesn't have a spinning disk. That's just solid state. Pay a little bit more for that, but you don't have to worry. Even if it's the Fusion drive, which is part solid state, part spinning disk. If you don't need a whole lot of space, if you only need like a terabyte, you can get a terabyte solid state disk in those. You can order them anyway. And if you're looking to get you wanted to get a refurbished model, you can go to the Apple's website under the store. All the way at the bottom of the page, there's you're aware of that. You can scroll through and look at all the iMacs, and it'll give you the specs, and just find one that has the solid state drive in it, not a Fusion drive, a solid state drive. Yes, Mojave, and then Catalina will be coming out a month or so. Yeah. So.
From what I understand, that Catalina is not going to be forgiving on 32-bit programs. You're going to have to be 64-bit all the way. So I know now that I will have to buy the newer Excel, Microsoft Excel, because it's a 2011 version and it's 32-bit. So yeah, I mean, from what I understand, Catalina is not going to be as forgiving as Mojave. So one way to find out is to go into your present Apple or your computer, go into About This Computer, and then you'll have to go in About This Mac, and then you go into System Report, and then you go down to Software Application. Okay. Oh, I'm already there. I'm there. Okay, so I'm there already. So at Applications, and then bring this down. And on the very last column is 64-bit Intel. So on this little laptop, everything I have is 64-bit. But That, oh, there's one that's not. That's the install command line developer tools. I don't have, no, that's Inc. server. So on my older iMac though, I have a lot that's 32-bit. So, so you'll have to, you know, if your new Mac comes with Catalina and you're gonna
Yeah,
kind of
somebody's
migrate
on
everything over, you're gonna say
the
goodbye.
telephone, and it's
You're gonna say
overriding
goodbye to your
the
32.
audio. I don't know if you can mute. It's a 1407 number. One of them. I don't know. I can't hear the host. Just go to participants. If not, just cut them off.
Well, don't cut me off. This is Jeff Walker. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Jeff, I'm sorry, I had the mic on, and I thought I didn't. You're getting
That
back.
it might be my number you're seeing.
Can you turn it down or turn it off?
Neither. I mean, is it too loud?
Okay, I'm going to mute myself and let them go back to have their meeting.
Because I had something I wanted to say about this topic, but I'm on my way to the meeting, so I can wait till I get to the meeting to make my comment.
That I'm not sure of. I haven't bought any new programs for a while.
Okay.
But I recognize some of the ones that were on the list there. I have affinity. And if you're those.
So that's a good point. Gary states, if you want to look and make sure all your
The genealogy program. Mhm.
That new iMac will only run with Catalina. It won't run on prior operating system.
Ouch.
Yeah, they're bad about that. Apple, the computer comes out today, and the operating system that is out today, right now, the newest operating system, that's all it will run. It could be newer, but it can't go back.
Can't back up. Ah, okay.
So why do you need a new computer?
The one I have now is just very, very slow. It takes a long time for the programs to open.
Static SSD change the hard drive. Well, I mean, some people use an external static drive, external monitor, hard drive, and then they only boot from that external drive, and they said it just gives their Mac, it turns into a new machine practically. So they don't even boot up from the internal drive.
So how would I accomplish that? I mean,
Have to, I bought an external static drive from Costco, and it was a half a terabyte. I think it was a couple $100. And I could have installed an Apple operating system on that and then boot from that, from then on, tell that to be the startup disk.
You might need a hand holder. You might need a hand holder just to get the conversation started.
Someone to help you.
Yeah.
yes, no doubt about that. I mean, the display is fine. It's clear and all that. It's just very, very slow. I still have a boodle of space on it. Space isn't the problem. It just operates very slowly. Sometimes the commands are quirky. It won't respond to the commands.
What operating system are you using?
Right now, High Sierra.
and I work down at Disney, and we have most of our computers are laptops, but we do have some Mac Pros and some iMacs, and the iMacs and the Mac Minis are the ones that cause problems because they still have most of the ones that they buy, especially the low end models of the iMacs they buy, which is a 21-inch screen. Those come with a spinning disk drive, and it's 5,400 RPM, which is really slow. And Apple has they know that most of they're focused on most people are going to have solid state drives, so that's what they program for, meaning that they can be sloppy with their code and it's still going to run fast because it's a solid state drive. And they forget that there's people like there's low end computers at Disney or wherever in the world that still have those slow hard drives, and Apple is still selling them. So it's poo on Apple. They shouldn't be doing this. They should put out solid state and drive in all computers, or they should have their developers manage their code correctly so that it's fast. And that's the problem you're seeing. You've got an old computer that has an old hard drive that is probably not much slower than it was when you bought it. It may be a little bit slower. It might have some bad sectors, but your operating system has been updated. And when you got that in 2008, what was it, 10.5? Or 10.6? So the code was for the OS was built for that, the slower hard drives. But as things have progressed, your Mac hasn't kept up. So something that you could do, and I don't really recommend it. I think it is a good time to get a computer. Your computer's 11 years old. That's pretty good for a computer, right? Yeah. But you could have a solid state drive installed in there, move all your stuff over, but it's not going to buy you too much time. So I recommend that you do what you're thinking about doing and getting a new computer, but get one with a solid state. Don't mess with Fusion. Certainly don't mess with a regular hard drive. So, and again, the regular hard drive is what you have. The Fusion drive is the combination where it's got the solid state and the spinning disk, and they work in tandem. And you get the benefits of a solid state, but you get the benefits of the hard drive, which makes you can store more stuff. But I would just go with the solid state. Yeah. Yeah, they'll push the Fusion. Yep. Mm-hmm. No, they'll make more money on a solid state. But people how much space are you using on your computer right now? Do you know? 4 gig of what? RAM? So 4 gigs of RAM. Okay, so you're going to get a minimum of 8 gigs. You really should probably get either 16 or 32. Minimum of 16 nowadays. But that's memory. That's not storage. Storage is different. Yeah, let me look at it. So less than 150. Oh yeah. So you could get a 500 gig solid state drive and be completely fine. And that would give you space to grow. Yeah, you're not using that much space. I mean, you probably got some photos and so forth on there to take up the space, or videos. So for people on the internet, Linda, right? Linda's she's using 148 gigs out of 320 gigs. So about half the drive, a little bit less than half the drive, right? 320, it'd be 160 if it was half. So you're using less than half. If you bumped it up to a 512 drive, it's still going to have plenty of growing space. Because what'll happen is when you get the new computer, you'll plug it in and you'll have the old computer, and then Apple will walk you through the steps when you boot up the new computer to get the data migrated from the old to the new. You ever done that before with the migration assistant? No. Okay. It's pretty straightforward. And with the new computer, if you have any questions about it, you can call AppleCare, and they will be on the phone with you and walk you through it. So they'll hold your hand all the way through the process. You could take your old iMac if you get it from a store, then you don't have as much flexibility, because if you're getting a remanufactured one, that's only online. But if you were to go to the store and buy an iMac, you could take your old one and they would do it right there for you, right in front of you. they'd help you through it. So that's the benefit of the store. So yeah, with a smile. Yeah. Oh, that's great. 10% veteran discount on the Apple. Excellent. Yeah, a little bit more than taxes. Yeah. So, okay, great. That's it. What do you got, Mike?
What have I got? Well, the only Apple device that I have at the moment is an iPod, and it is the 4th generation.
Is it an iPod Touch?
Yes, iPod Touch 4th generation. I understand they just went to a 5th.
Oh, really?
Yes, and
I didn't know they still made them.
oh yes, they still do. It surprised me, and I used it in my car just to play music. Use the Bluetooth, and that's it. Now my wife just got an iPhone 8, and it's through, I guess it was through Apple's secondhand store, because she didn't pay the new price for it. And she had previously had an iPhone 5, and before that Android. And she doesn't relate to what the operating systems are. All she knows is she presses an icon and it does something. And she's happy with it.
This is her second Apple phone.
Yes.
Trying to get her back at all to the Android.
No,
She likes it.
she doesn't like tech at all. It was a major accomplishment getting her to go to that first Android phone, because it used to be a flip phone. So.
All right. We got anything else? That's kind of a small meeting. Anybody on the computer got any questions or statements? Ted, you got anything for us? Any newspaper articles that you recently saw and you want to share?
No, not at the moment.
How you feeling, Ted?
Well, not too good, but I wish I could be there, but this is good second choice.
Okay, good. Well, I hope you get better soon.
Yeah.
Sean, this is Jeff.
Hey, Jeff.
I'm on my way to the meeting. I had another meeting before this, so if you break up, I'll miss it entirely. But I'm actually right at Orange Avenue and 1792, so I'm pretty close.
Great. Okay.
I did have some things to say about what I've been listening to. I've been listening for about 35 minutes as I've been driving, but
great.
I had to come down. I had to come down from Sanford, but I knew it was going to be a tight thing to make it. But if you're still there, I'll be there in about maybe 10 minutes.
Okay. All right. Is there somebody else on the phone as well that's not on the video? You there, Stan?
Dan. That's it. Dan and myself.
No, Stan. It's the club computer. It's not going to.
I have a question, I guess, and I just figured it out partially. It's mostly not related to my phone, but I can't tell if it's an iPhone question or exclusively a Mac question. I've been messing around with photos and how I have 23,000 plus photos, and I shut down I disconnected all my Wi-Fi and everything because I was preparing for the VPN, and I just cleared everything out. And what I realized that I hadn't was that inside my photos, I actually have a folder for iPhoto, and it contained all my iPhotos from, I don't know, 2000 something, all the way up to 2019. At one point, I wasn't supposed to be able to have any iPhoto based on an operating system. So I think Phil Robertson put them all on a hard drive, but somehow they're back. And then because of the way they're cataloged anymore, they have like the videos separated. They have various types of media separated inside photos. So I can't tell where all the duplication is coming. I know what photo library is overall, but within that, I think the way I'm getting to these high numbers is because I have old information that I didn't anticipate would be in there at all, and I just found it. Maybe everybody knows that iPhoto was somehow residually placed inside, but um, see, I haven't worked with it enough to know how the breakouts are happening, because now many things show up automatically. So if I go into it, another
Come on,
space,
come on.
I can't tell what's going on. But there is this iPhoto whole catalog of many 1,300 albums, and I don't know how they got there. Yeah, I don't know how they got there.
1,300 folders or albums? Albums. So in iPhoto, first of all, iPhoto, when Apple introduced photos and made iPhoto invalid, not work anymore, the first time you launched photos, it looked in your pictures folder and it imported all of your iPhotos into photos. So I'd venture to say that it's safe to delete the iPhoto um, is it album? No, the iPhoto,
Well, you
the
did
the
photos.
bundle, the thing that stores all the iPhotos, because that is now in Photos. And I suspect if you looked at if you did a get info command, a get command I on each of the iPhoto and also photos in your pictures folder, that the one for photos would be bigger because it's been around. It should contain all of iPhotos and anything that's been added to your photos. Each time you connect your phone, it should import them and so forth.
Maybe I can eliminate the iPhoto altogether
Mhm.
and cut it
Especially
down at least.
especially if Phil had copied it to an external hard drive. If you're nervous at all about it, you could copy or move that that iPhotos. It's not an album. It's called something else. Yeah, it's a vault or whatever the terminology is. You can move that to a external hard drive and put it on a shelf, and then you've freed up space in your computer. But I think everything is in Photos. Yeah, you can do a Command C to copy it to memory. Create a copy point, and then click inside of the external drive, or anywhere for that matter. And on the newer operating systems, Command Option V will do a move. So it's usually Command V to paste. Command Option V actually moves whatever you've copied. So I use that daily. That's pretty handy. That way you don't have to go back and delete it once it's been copied successfully. So
I think some of it might have happened. Some of it might have happened like around 2011 when I got a new computer.
yeah, that sounds about right. I think that's when.
The other residual I thought had been disallowed or something. I had a significant transitional period where the reason I had Phil help was because they were not going to allow all those photos. It wasn't like they were slowing down my other computer so much, but I understand I'm fully confused, and I'll try this.
It is confusing. It's confusing for me as well, but that's what I gather. I talk with a little bit of trepidation because I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, because you'll come and complain at the next meeting. I know. Got to do this.
Does Apple have a program or routine that can actually compare photos and show you that it's a duplicate, and then you can get to choose which one you want or which one you don't want?
As far as finding duplicates, I don't think it's built into Photos, but there's programs that you can download, you can purchase. There's one called Mac Cleaner. Let me look and see here. I think it's Mac Cleaner. Mac. Yeah. So there are applications you can use to just for it, not only to find out duplicate photos, but duplicate anything on your computer. Yeah. and then you can give it you can actually click a button and say delete all the duplicates, which can be a little scary. You know, you got to make sure that application gets good reviews, because people will be sure to voice their opinions when they have had bad issues with that. I don't know what it's called. I'm looking. I don't have. I had one, and it started with an M. I thought maybe it's just called. Oh, wait a minute. Let's see. Cleaner. Oh, Clean My Mac. So Clean My Mac is an application that allows you to find duplicates and delete trash that's in maybe in other accounts, and clears caches and things that aren't needed or taking up space. You know, you could have, you know, some people, a lot of your hard drives will fill up because you've done a backup of your iPhone over and over again. I think there was an actual option, it might still be there, for iTunes. You plug your phone into your computer, and there's a checkbox that says anytime a phone is connected, back it up, and it makes backups, and it just fills up your hard drive. That's another thing that Mac Cleaner, it looks for a whole bunch of things. It does work well. It isn't cheap, but it does a good job. Mac Cleaner. I don't use that stuff too often because I typically know where to look, but it's a good and it has come in handy. It will remind you. It'll annoy you if it hasn't run away. That can be taken out. You can turn that off, but it's good to do that. So you could certainly use something like Clean My Mac. I think it was $40 maybe, something like that. So if you're running low on disk space, it's certainly a good thing to have. So
I want to quit having so much duplication. I have plenty of space, but
yeah, duplication is nice to get rid of.
Yeah.
So Jeff, you got anything?
Yeah, sure do. That's all right.
We'll get you on here.
I project pretty well.
Now, but this microphone wants you to pretend you're eating an ice cream cone.
Well, I should tell you this, because this is a kind of a test. I had another meeting before this that started at 6, and it normally runs about an hour. So I was thinking I knew it would be running close, but I thought I could get here for a good portion of the meeting. And there were several things that I wanted to bring up. But I left that meeting about 7:25. It went over because people had a lot of questions. So I've been listening to your meeting for the last 35 minutes. And it's been very helpful because I've heard a lot of the discussion, and I had a few things I wanted to say, but I wasn't sure exactly how well it would handle comments that I made. So that's why you didn't hear occasionally a comment, just to let you know I was on the line. But it was very helpful. I like this. I like us to do it more. I just listened. Yeah, I didn't have any video. I just was listening. It was very easy to log on. I mean, I've done a lot of these kind of go to webinar or whatever, different programs, but this one worked very well because I was driving. So I wasn't able to like punch in a whole string of numbers to tell you what meaning it was and passwords and all that stuff like you can when you're just sitting in an office listening to a meeting like this. So I hit the mobile thing, and it just gave me all those codes automatically. So I wasn't violating the law or anything. I was just able to listen to it, and I actually put it on my speaker in my car because I have one of those little add-ons, and it worked very well. So
What did you click on, like the email that was sent?
well, in the invite that Mike sent, it had a large highlighted number or whatever. I clicked that first. Yeah, the Zoom number. I clicked that, and then it wanted those codes. So I looked, when I was at an intersection, I looked real carefully, and there was a mobile code. So I said, well, let me try that. I mean, what can it hurt? So I tapped that, and I heard it entering those numbers. Just entered a whole string of numbers that I could hear the tones, but I didn't have to do it, and it just put me right on. In fact, it even got to one where it said, put in a code and then punch pound, but if you don't have that code, just punch pound. So I said, well, what have I got to lose? I punched pound, and there you were. I heard your voices, and it was really cool. But anyway, one of the things of course, I didn't hear the first 25 minutes of the meeting. And that's probably when you talked about the VPN, which is part of what I needed to hear about, but I could talk with you all separately about that. And Gary's been very good at keeping me advised on his travails as he's walked through the whole thing. I can tell you this, I have had it on and off. I'm planning to really only use it on my iPad and my iPhone, because those are the only devices I ever go anywhere where I'm not on a more secure network. I only use my computer at home, and it's only a laptop, but I don't usually carry it to places where somebody could be, paying more attention, because my home network is, I think, pretty secure. But I have used it on the iPad and on the iPhone. And one of the things I did note was that I could not log on to some things like, well, on my iPad, I might watch something on Amazon Prime. It wouldn't let me do that when I had the VPN on. I had to turn it off in order to be able to access movies and so forth that I wanted to watch. So I guess that's just one of those things, but if there's a way around that, I obviously would want to know how to do that. And I'm probably not going to be like sitting in a McDonald's watching a movie. Most probably I won't, but even if I did, I wouldn't be doing other things, like banking or anything like that. So, I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, certainly pretty happy with the deal. I think it was a, lifetime thing. And it gives me some experience with it, but there's just so many conceptual things I don't understand about it. But one of the things I heard as I was driving along was Linda talking about getting a new computer and the age of the one you have. And I know Phil Sargent, who normally comes to our MAC meetings, but he's not, he lives too far away to come to these meetings, or so he thinks, so he's not generally a regular attendee, but he just bought a MacBook Pro, and he was showing it to me last Friday at the lunch that we had. It's pretty cool, and he basically followed all of Sean's advice, even though he didn't ask for the advice. He basically did all those things that you were suggesting. First of all, he bought it now, which means that when Catalina comes out, he has a choice. Whereas if you wait till Catalina comes out, you don't have a choice. You'll buy a computer that has Catalina on it, and you probably won't be able to go back. Probably won't go back to Mojave if you don't like Catalina, or some things don't work. So when I heard Sean say, yeah, it's probably time to buy a new computer, I'm thinking to myself, if I were here, I'd actually say, yeah, do it now. Don't wait, because Catalina most probably will be out by November, maybe sooner. And once it is out, you won't have a choice of buying something that doesn't force you to use that. Well, it has been true with other operating systems that have come out, and and this is a big one. So, if you've got a computer,
if a new operating system comes out this is how it's been with Apple. Say, for instance, you buy a computer today, and it only works with. You buy a computer today, and then next month Catalina comes out. I'm sorry, take that back. If there's a computer that's being manufactured right now, a model, say the iMac 2019, and they released it back in March, and Catalina comes out in September, and you go in October and you buy an iMac 2019 it's the same model that was released in March. It will continue to run Mojave. It will probably come with Catalina, but you can install Mojave. You can go back and install Mojave. The only difference is if say it was a 2018, to make it easier. Say you'd purchased a 2018 model, iMac 2018, and then in October they came out with the iMac 2019. The iMac 2019 that was released in October will only work with Catalina, because that was the operating system that was out when it was released. You understand?
well, I do understand, and that's the reason why I said don't wait until you get an.
That's right. Don't wait until, because if you wait until a new machine is released, then you may be stuck with that new operating system that will only run 64-bit apps. And if you have a 32-bit app that you still need to be able to use, you don't know yet. You're going to go home and look and see what those.
Put Windows on it. Can you also still put Windows on a Mac?
Yeah, you can still put Windows on a Mac.
And supposedly what would happen then if you had a 32-bit Windows app in a 64-bit machine? I would think it would emulate it and let you run it. Wouldn't it?
I don't know.
License for 32-bit Office, for example, for a Mac. you switch to a 64-bit operating system for the Mac, and you no longer, your 32-bit version of the Mac Office no longer runs, and you have to pay to get the new license. But if Windows on the new Mac, and the version of Office that was 32-bit, wouldn't that then run under Windows?
I don't know.
That's a parallels question. You might want to look at versions of parallels because, I don't know, 2 years.
It's a parallels question.
2 years ago, I think it was, maybe longer, I had seen a YouTube video. You can probably still find it because there's so much on YouTube. But it was showing this guy who literally ran using emulators like 25 operating systems. And he went, I mean, he went way back to some early like Tiger and some of the earlier, and then he also was running, Linux and Windows. He ran, I think he might have run Windows 95 or something on it, but because the emulators will tell you what they're capable of. I mean, I don't know why you'd want to do that other than just a stunt, but you never know. You might have some AppleWorks files or something you want to open, and maybe if you could go back to a operating system you can emulate, you might actually be able to operate those. But I know that my computer, which is a MacBook Air 2013, did qualify for Mojave, but I know it won't run Catalina. And so until I can afford something else, that's going to be the computer I'm going to use until it dies. So I'm not going to have to worry too much about, some of the features in Catalina that might be nice to have, but I won't be able to run. I'm just not even going to, look forward to those because I know that there's not a new computer in my future. But I could see that if you have some programs you're really dependent on, that's an important question. In fact, I just went to a genealogy meeting today. What do you use for that? What program?
Oh, went right on my head. Did you ask me? Reunion,
Oh, that's what I use. We may be the only two in our land.
possibly.
I love it. It's a good one.
So you used a term called, you said emulate, right?
Well, that's what I call parallels. Is that not what it is?
No, Parallels is a virtualization software. So the difference between virtualization software and emulators is virtualization actually uses part of the logic board and the CPU. There's virtualization technology built into that that allows you to actually use that to run the and it's much closer to running native on the hardware as opposed to emulators, which are way slower. I don't know if you remember, there was a product in the early 2000s called Virtual PC. Does that sound familiar? Virtual PC. It was an emulator, and you could run Windows NT and Windows 95 and so forth on a Mac, but it was really slow because you were emulating a Intel PC, Intel 486 software or 486 hardware rather on a Mac on a Power PC. So there's a lot going on there. So that's why I'm sorry. That's before the Macs were on Intel. They were still using. So the only way to run Windows on a Macintosh was to have emulator. You couldn't virtualize it. You can't Windows wasn't created to work on the PowerPC architecture. So now it can. Now it actually can use the processor more close to native. So, and I'm not a programmer, but that's what I understand. That's why I said I don't know, because it probably will, because it's software related. So you could probably do a VMware or Parallels to run the older operating systems, even an older version of the Mac. Like you could have Catalina running, and you could install Mojave or High Sierra in a virtualization window using it. Actually, you could use this is probably going to be. I wouldn't even suggest you do this. We're theorizing, yeah. But you could probably even do it for free with virtual. It's the Sun software. What's the VirtualBox? You could probably download VirtualBox and you could install Mac. You could have several versions of the Mac OS, older versions of Mac OS running under Catalina in VirtualBox software. But we're totally theorizing here. I don't recommend doing that. Just make sure that the what's it called, reunion is 64-bit, and then if it is, you're probably golden, because that's the main thing you use. That is, you also surf the web and check your email and so forth. But reunion is your primary other tool other than web browsers and mail. Okay. So there'll probably be a reunion 14 for Catalina. Yeah. Might be worthwhile going to the reunion website and finding the contact, scroll to the bottom, find the contact link, send them an email and ask them, because they'll know. I guarantee they'll know. So yeah, okay, good. They're responsive. Okay, great.
You talked about Clean My Mac license. Okay, it's $34.95 for a 1-year subscription. Darn. And so if you want to do, you can buy it outright. For 1 Mac is $89.95, and 2 Macs is $134.95, and 5 Macs is $200. It's Clean My Mac X. So many of these software companies are going to subscription. It's really too bad.
Well, they provide a good service.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. I agree. But, so if you want to buy it, you pay $80 or $90.
Yeah.
No, that's
Or-
outright.
Yeah, the $35 is 1 year. Yeah. Did you get a chance?
I've had them, yes.
Just now. So I think that might be it. Do we got anything else? That's it. That's it.
Well, it was fun doing this.
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
And we used a walk around USB mic. I have another mic that's more like an area mic. We tried that out at the TechSig, where I could probably just sit at the table and just sort of point it in the direction. And we'll try that probably at the TechSig and see what the difference is between. TechSig's a little more animated than you folks are, but all right.
It's not really an iOS question, and it would be more of a TechSig question or a CFCS question. At this meeting that I went to prior to this, there was a guy sitting next to me that I know that he used to work for Oracle, actually, but he was asking me, he said he has a dead hard drive and he was hoping to get it, something off of it. And I wondered if anybody here had any knowledge of any place, not just local, but any place where he could take a dead hard drive and get a place to spin it up and take off what's on it.
There have been a number of questions asked on the TechSig and people that I know also on Facebook about reviving or getting your stuff off of a dead hard drive in clean rooms. And I think it was Patrick that uses a clean room locally. And you better be ready to spend up to $1,000. And they basically take your hard drive apart, with the bunny suits on, and in a dust-free environment. And then if the platters are still okay, if as they haven't been scratched by a crashed head or something like that, then they'll mount those platters on new hardware, still in the clean room, and then they'll power them up using their recovery tools, and they'll get your data off it and put it on another hard drive for you, and then you can decide what you're going to do with it, which is most likely start over, reload your operating system, or if you've got an image backup, whether it's the Mac's image backup or something that runs under Windows. But it does happen. And your comment about a solid state drive, very fast, well worth it for your operating system, not so much so for your data. But when a solid state drive fails, that's it. It's dead, it's gone. It's either working or it's not working. And you don't recover anything from a clean room. It's gone. Well, I've had it happen to me 3 times now. So, have you? Okay, hang on a second. All right, how to recover a solid state drive?
So down at Disney, we use a a company. Disney uses a company that I think is located in Fort Lauderdale, and they will send the whole computer down, because the newest Apple computers, you can't take the hard drive off of the logic board. It's soldered. It's built into it. Brilliant. Anyway, we had a computer just recently that went down there, and they were able to. We had to provide the encryption key, because all the computers are encrypted. But I think it was $2,500 or $3,500 to get that done. Yeah. So it can be done.
So they are actually able to somehow get into the electronics and recover the data from the cells of a solid state drive that has failed its interface.
That's
The media itself is still accessible.
the media is still accessible. So they open the computer up, and I think they have to open the computer up, and I think they're able to extract the hard drive off of there. The solid state flash memory or whatever it is that's on the new Macs, but they were able to get it. And I'm trying to find the name of the company. I have the ladies. I remember the lady's name. The guy's name is Preston, that I think owns the place, and the name of it is WCATINC.com. I don't know what that stands for, but the guy's name is Preston, and that's his email address. Yes, I'll put it in the notes.
You just said something else that I was thinking as we were listening to Linda's. I was on the phone, and when you buy this new computer, make sure you put everything on it that you're gonna want, because the new Mac's almost impossible to be adding like memory, and I'm not even sure you can change out hard drive, but probably you can. But I know memory. You better order what you want, 16 or whatever. Mm.
But the small iMacs are not. The 21-inch iMacs. What are you looking at? 27. So the 27-inch iMacs are capable of being upgraded as memory. But the hard drive,
you can add RAM to them.
I think you have to send it out. But if you're buying the solid state, that's when you're getting into built into the board, that kind of thing. So get one with 512. Maybe fine with 512 in your case. I wouldn't say that for everybody, but you showed me what's on your computer, so. And none of this, whether you have a solid state drive whether you have a solid state drive or a spinning disk drive, you should still have a backup, whether it be a local backup with a time machine disk plugged in. Okay. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of Crash Plan, which has moved to more of a business plan, but and I currently use Carbonite, which I'm not real crazy about. I don't really like the software. It does the job, and I paid for a year. So in December, I'm going to be switching to probably trying out Backblaze is another one. There's several of them, but you want to have an offsite and a local if you can. So.
Smarter than me has a saying, I hear it from frequently. There's only two kind of hard drives: ones that have failed and ones that will fail. Yeah. So that's the reason for backup, because you can't ever be sure that what you have is going to keep lasting.
Yeah, they will eventually fail.
Hopefully the reliability of solid state is better than the reliability of mechanical. Like I said, when it fails, it's not, oh, I'm getting an indication that it's failing. It just, you turn it on, there's nothing there.
That's right. Yeah, solid state drives fail harder than, there's no real warning in most cases. The guy's name, it's Wholesale Computers and Technology, and the guy's name is Preston McDonald, and it is WCAT Inc. I'm going to try going to that website. I'll put it on the screen here. T. So they went do a bunch of stuff. I think they're located in, something tells me they're located down on the east coast of Florida.
954.
954, that's probably, Is it south? Yeah. So, although does it say where they are? It doesn't say it for sure. Oh, there it is, contact, yeah. So they're in Fort Lauderdale. So, it's going to be, they're not cheap. It typically isn't cheap. It is. So did he delete something, this guy that you're talking about? Or is the drive bad, Jeff?
As far as I can tell, it's a spinning hard drive.
Spinning. It's a spinning hard drive that doesn't spin. Okay. And it's a Mac?
No, I don't think it's
PC? Okay. There's also a product that might work that he could suggest to him. It's called, it's the Steve Gibson SpinRite. So SpinRite, Steve Gibson is this brilliant guy. He does a lot of stuff with security and so forth. Security Now, the web, have you ever listened to that on the Twit network? But Steve Gibson, his bread and butter is this program that he wrote years ago called SpinRite, and he's updated. It's up to version 6. He's going to make one that works on the Mac. I don't know if he's how far he's gotten on that, but it looks at he wrote it in, I think, in binary, or I mean, the guy's, I don't think he has a girlfriend. Let's just say that, okay? But he wrote this, and you put it on a flash drive, and then you boot from it, and then it looks at your internal drive and looks at all the sectors and goes through, and it's good. It's something that's good to do on a regular basis on a PC. I wish they had it for Mac, and when he does have one for Mac, I will buy it because it's a good product, and it's a good thing to do for maintenance, because what it'll do is look at every individual sector and test it, and if it's going bad or if it's bad, it will tell the hard drive technology to start skipping that. Just go ahead and skip it, move the data to someplace else. So ignore that sector, right? So SpinRite could be an option for him. So let him know about that, right?
I've heard some people say you could actually get an old hard drive and put it in the freezer. And
I've heard that. I tried that.
and it didn't work for you. And then when you take it out,
Well, here's what it did. When I took it out, it started spinning, and then I'll tell you what was on there that I needed. It was an iTunes file, and that's going to be big. So, I mean, it's going to be a couple gigabytes. So, it just wasn't. If I was just trying to get one little thing off of it, that might have done it because it was spinning, but it wasn't going to let me download something that was of any size. So, yeah, I can verify.
I watched the guy that a lot of stuff about computers back when I was just getting into technology, and I saw him. He plugged that hard drive in on the computer, had a can of the air. You know how you turn air up and down and those cold? Yeah. He did that on that drive. It was actually working, so he gets some data off of there. So yeah, and he uses the size of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a physics thing. So
it could be a bearing. Yeah.
Just a little bit.
right. Yeah. So it does work. That's something to try. But SpinRite could bring him back to life, Jeff.
I will mention that. He'll be very thrilled.
What about refresh computers up in Longwood? Anybody deal with them?
More than PC.
Stan has used refresh a lot,
I don't think we get an Apple, but he doesn't have an Apple. The guy that just talked
Yeah,
about.
so that might
I'm
be-
doubtful that he does. I don't think he does.
So sure, you can take it to the refresh computers and see if they can do anything. Sometimes the local computer, and even Patrick could do something.
Well, the only suggestion I could give him was Patrick, because Stan had suggested that, and so I did give him his name.
Patrick could very well help him out. You want to go the expensive route. That's always the first place to try the simple thing first. And Patrick could certainly use his tools. Yeah, Patrick won't charge $3,500.
Right, yeah, that's a real test. I do have one thing that is an iOS thing. Some of you may have read it as well, but it was in the Mac Daily News about the new, is it iOS 13? Is that what it is that's coming out? We'll have a feature that will allow you to turn on, this is a Gary thing, turn on whether you want to even receive calls that are not in your address book. If you turn that on, then you get a call that's not from somebody in your address book. The phone doesn't even ring. It just goes straight to voicemail. So that way for people that just don't even want their phone to ring, but don't mind getting a voicemail left to find out who it was who tried to call you, that's a new feature apparently in the new iOS 13. Those people that are running the beta have reported that. So I think that'll be a popular feature.
Scam likely.
I think that's it.
Well, one more.
One more from Gary.
And this is because, this was an app that Sean told us about. And Number Shield, see that one there, Number Shield? That allows you, let's change, would you like to reload your block numbers? Okay. I used to get a number 407-353 that would call twice a week for over a year. I called Apple. I said, is there any way you can stop this? No. I said, I called AT&T. Is there any way you can stop this? No. And I thought that I was just going to have to put up with it, because if you block any of those, the full, 7, 8, 9, 10 digits, you're just blocking one of 10,000 numbers. And every time they call, they would change the last 4 digits. And Apple said, there's nothing we can do. AT&T said there was nothing we could do. And then I brought it up at a meeting, and Sean says, try this app, and you just put a pound to block the last 4 digits, and anything before that gets blocked automatically. Never got a call since. And I put up with that for a year before I knew about this app. Anyway.
These are people spoofing your name.
It was called Number Shield. It was only 99 cents. But boy, if you get these persistent people that keep changing the last 4 digits, it can just drive you crazy. Okay. So you want to say more?
So I'll show that as well. The let's see, call blocking and identification. So let's go. Yeah, I have to go into settings and allow it to block. And I think you have to do that with any of the call blocker tools. Well, this particular app will warn you. Will tell you here's
a call blocker apps, but not where you can use a pound symbol to make a wild card.
Right. The beauty of this tool, and let's go, and we'll go to Number Shield. Let me see how I can quit out of this. Oops. Launch it again. I already did this, I think. Maybe not. So you have to go in, and so you go into settings, you go into phone, and then you go into call blocking, and this is where you enable Number Shield. And then you go to the app itself, and it's reloading the numbers. It takes a long time to reload the numbers because in my case, these are the blocked numbers. I've blocked all 407 numbers. I've blocked all 321 numbers and all 800 numbers. Unless they're, no, because you're in my address book. So if you're in my address book, you come through. Additionally, and if you look at no, this won't, because it's doing this thing, but down at the bottom there where it says allowed, next, they got blocked on the left at the very bottom, and then to the next step is allowed. And you can do the same thing with allowed. So since I have a bunch of people that call me on my cell phone at Disney, I went and I found all of the prefixes at Disney, and I put those in the allowed. So I've got probably another I don't know how many thousands of, or maybe millions of, probably thousands of allowed numbers.
Yeah, 407-823.
Yes. So if I wanted to allow UCF calls, and I know that their prefix is 407-823, blah, 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 I would go into the allowed section. I would type add, I would click the plus, and I would type 407-823, and then pound, 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 and then it will allow any of those numbers to come through. Yeah.
The first 3 digits is the area code.
Area code, then prefix.
And then the next 3 digits, isn't that called the exchange?
It might be called the exchange as well. Yeah.
Back then there were exchanges.
That goes pretty far.
Is prefix and exchange universe the same basically? Yeah.
So now it's
Exchange.
called prefix?
Oh yeah, right. Like Gladstone 1, Gladstone, whatever. Yeah, they put a name to it. Yeah. Yeah. They don't do that anymore, do they? Yeah, yeah. You're starting to date yourself there. Yeah, good. Yeah, 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 right. It was a dial. Yeah. So anyway, I found it to be quite helpful. And although I'm in the process, I think I'm going to be buying a car tomorrow. If all goes well. And I've been having to, it's horrible dealing with salespeople. I just hate it. It's just awful. So anyway, and you'll forget that you have this turned on, because I'll communicate with these people, and then they'll try to call me, and it just goes to voicemail. Next thing I know, I got a voicemail from them. So I have to remember to go in and either add them to my address book, which I'm not going to do. I just went in and turned this off. Today I had it turned off altogether, so I wouldn't get any calls that come in, so I wouldn't have to be bothered with it. But I could just add them to my address book, or I could even add them in here under allowed. I could go in and specify, but they could call from, if it's a dealership, they could have several outbound numbers that they could call from. So I didn't want to deal with that. So anyway, they use a cell number. They're into texting, like the sales guy. And then when I called him on the telephone, he answered by saying, "Hello, this is a business."
Whoa.
It was his personal cell phone I was calling, and he's using it for business, but he didn't say his name when I called. Yeah, this guy was from North Carolina, so it was a 956 number. It was really bizarre. That's just not how to do business. I did for my new car purchase, to find the best deal. I wound up, well, for one, the first thing I did was I called my credit union, and they have a car buying service. And I think it's a company that they employ to do it. But the guy was nice enough, this guy, Jack. That wasn't TrueCar. TrueCar, however, I have a subscription to Consumer Reports. And Consumer Reports will link through to TrueCar, and you immediately get the price. And it's good. The price is, they lopped $2,000 off the price, and I got a good deal. If it all goes through, and I think it will, they've already sent the information to the credit union. So, but a Honda CRV. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we test drove the CRV. We test drove the RAV4. Toyota is a real pain when it comes to packages. You can't just, the thing with the Honda is you buy this level car, this level car, this level car, or this level car. And this is the stuff you get on this one. This is the stuff you get on this one. Toyota does that as well. But then if you want this particular thing, you have to add this $3,000 package on any of those, which is ridiculous. Yeah. Yeah. The Element, the Honda Element it's been a great car, and no, it hasn't died, but I'm getting noise from the alternator. That I think I bought a stethoscope and I listened to the car, and I had my wife do it too. So I think it really is. Her hearing's better than mine. And she thinks it's the alternator as well. We touched the alternator, and it was making the same noise for the regular ears. So the alternator was, I bought one, and it was $140 or something like that, which isn't too bad, right? I also bought and this is not iOS related, but I'm going to tell anyway. I also bought a belt tensioner, and I bought a new belt, but I could not get that belt tensioner to release that belt. I didn't have the right tool, and I'm also having problems with the air conditioning. like the air conditioning right now is blowing warm, and it's overcharged because I've been adding Freon to it, and it's we both, my wife and I, we finally just had enough, and we're like, you know what, 270,000. So yeah, yeah, you know, and up until yeah, up until 20,000, 10,000 miles ago, I had, it's been great. I just love that car. So it's going to be a sad, yeah, it's going to be, the day will be, I will shed a tear when I leave, that car leaves me. Yeah. 270. Yeah.
He finally got rid of his Civic.
Oh, yeah.
500,000 miles.
The Civic with 500,000 miles. That's amazing. Yeah. So.
He only had one set of brakes because we were in Cuba. We were in Cuba.
Oh, they go forever.
Some guy with one of those old cars. Somebody asked him how many miles he had on it. You know what it was? No. 2 million.
Wow, 2 million miles on a old car. It would be a brand new, a Honda Element in Cuba. Yeah, they never seen the boxy toaster. Yeah.
Looked like it just came off the showroom floor. But that's the thing I said, you really have original engine in it. He said, no, I've got a Hyundai diesel. Okay, that's cool. They make their own parts. And he says, I said, what kind of transmission? Automatic or stick? He says, no, I've got a 5-speed. He's put in, I don't know what 5-speed he put in there. But what really blew her away when we got into the back seat, he had an air-conditioned 55 unit. The air conditioner mounted up on the back side of the front seat.
What was that? Window air? A window air conditioner?
No, it was just
A little square box. And we got in and we turned around and buttons and we got.
Wow. So this is in Cuba? So this is a 1950 something Buick with a 55 Buick with a Hyundai diesel engine in it. Yes, twice the mileage, half the price. Yeah. Huh. Yeah. So last thing, I was really fascinated by the Toyota, the hybrid engine on those is supposed to be amazing. One of the things that I was most impressed with is there's no belt on a Toyota hybrid engine. Starting in, I think, 2017, everything is either gear driven or electric. So there's no belt. That's amazing. Does it? Yeah. Are there any belts in that engine? Yeah, that's amazing. No. What? There's no radiator? There should be a radiator. You have a conventional. I mean, you have an engine.
There is an engine.
Yeah.
It uses a dual clutch transmission where the electric goes in one side, the gas goes in the other. It's the sides.
Yeah.
Differential which one it should use.
Mm-hmm.
So yours drives the car, then just starts.
But
Yeah.
I can run 24 miles on electric only.
Yeah, the hybrids are really amazing, and I just felt like they were nickel and diming us, so I just said, you know what. And my wife said the seats in the Honda were much more comfortable, and I want her to be comfortable. You know, yeah. So I mean, the passenger seat was different than the driver. The driver's seat was electric and had multiple adjustments, but the passenger seat on the RAV4 was only manual, and it only had a couple of adjustments, and it wasn't as comfortable. Yeah. So, did you? Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, everyone. We'll see. If there's anybody else still on, is there anybody still on? It doesn't look like it.
Looks like Stan's still.
Stan. Bye, Stan. See you in a couple weeks. Next week.
And we thank you for tuning in. We'll put this online. We'll send the links out. And we'll see what the quality of the audio is